What a joy it is to be here with you all today. Let's pray. Good evening, Father. Good evening, Jesus. Good evening, Holy Spirit. You have called us here because you love this community, and you have given so much to us, God. We pray that it continue to be a blessing, that we meet here today, and that all deliberations will glorify the Father. We ask it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Good evening. Y'all were louder than that 5 minutes ago. Good evening. 2 words, okay. I'm, for those of you who do not know me, I'm State Representative Wingate Newton. I cover District 70, which is a real small district. It's Pinellas, Hillsborough, Manatee, and Sarasota. Yeah, O is right. It's me, Sun Pass, the Skyway Bridge, and the gas pump. I have with me this evening my district secretary, Miss Cardinia Hardy, and she's in our Minnesota office. If you guys, it's off 63rd and 301. If you know where Flowers Bread Company at, when you're coming out of the front of the bread company with your donuts, we're right across the street. Easy to find. We also have Miss Michelle Grimsley. Miss Michelle is my legislative assistant. She travels with me back and forth to Tallahassee to try to keep the trains on time and keep me going here and there. So I just wanted to get that out first. We also have with us, she had some more commissioners coming in. We don't want to omit anybody. Anybody that thought it not robbery to come out and participate, I want to make sure they're recognized. So just bear with us 2 seconds. To me, this is about the most important part. You have them? Okay. We have with us today, if they would stand so you could see them, Misty Servia, am I saying it right? Servia, yeah, her too. School commissioner, yes. Stand up again. They stand up so fast like they owe somebody money, you know? Okay, we have Councilman Bill Sanders. All right, yes, sir. We have, I'm going to skip over these two because they're going to introduce themselves. We also have Councilman Gene Brown. Okay, yes. All right. We have School Board Member Charlie Kennedy. Right here. We have Commissioner Betsy Benek. All right. Like that wave, girl. Okay, we have also Commissioner Carol Whitmore. Okay, all right. And last but not least, we have Commissioner Priscilla Wiseman. Wiseman Trace. Okay. I'm going to let these gentlemen introduce themselves, and then we'll get to why we're here.
Yep. Should be on. Good evening. My name is Harold Bird. I represent Ward 5 in the city of Bradenton, and I'd like to welcome all of you out here today. We believe in the informational process, and we're here to get as much information to you as we can. This whole thing has started out with the Central Manatee Network Analysis Study, and it was about looking at transportation within the area. And so today we're here for the Transportation Summit. And we've heard several different things over the past year, at least, and I've been involved in a lot of that. And presently, as it stands, we have FDOT here, and we're looking at 12 alternatives. The thing is as it goes to PD&E, we would hope that we have I guess, some type of a solution that will solve all of our transportation needs here within this central corridor area. Thank you for coming out, and hopefully we can add more and receive more information from you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Commissioner Reggie Bellamy, and I am District 2 Commissioner, obviously with the Transportation Summit as far as the bridge options potentially going through significant parts of our community. I'm excited that Representative Wingate gave us the opportunity for him to come down and bring FDOT so we can make sure the information gets out there and our community can be better informed. So this is a great opportunity for you all to hear from FDOT, and we can take this information down and then take the necessary steps to go forward. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Also, Commissioner Smith was coming, but as you know, they had the President's Day, so they had to move their meeting. So they're meeting as we speak. So they're meeting now, so he couldn't be here. I told him I'd let everybody know, and we can also get him abreast of what's going on. Now, for what we're doing, and first and foremost, I want to apologize to the people that thought it not robbery to participate in the election process. I planned on doing a transportation forum way back in June, but I drew 2 challengers, not 1 but 2. And once in the electoral process, once we qualify, we can no longer receive any assistance from the state. No staff, no reports, no nothing, which is crazy because I still got to run 4 counties. So what I wanted to do was today was pretty much come out. FDOT is here. They're here to support me and try to written answers to any questions or comments that we capture so that we be able to get the proper understanding to whatever questions or concerns you may have. As you see behind us, we have blank pads. That's what they are. And the reason we got blank pads because I don't have no agenda. The only reason I came here was to hear from you. I had a lot of groups call me, and they were upset, and I was disrespectful because I didn't meet with them. I didn't ask their permission. I want you to keep that passion. They was talking about suing people, keep them lawyers. Lawyers need that money. They got kids they got to put through college, so that's not me. That's not why I'm here. My goal is to inform, educate, and advocate. What I've done, and I asked Secretary LK, he couldn't be here tonight either, but he sent his best. So I asked him, when I first met with him, I had Commissioner Byrd with me and also Commissioner Bellamy, and I asked him, I said, if anybody ever got together and got all the elected officials together at one time at a table with the Department of Transportation? And he told me, he said, no. He said, Representative, I never saw nothing like this happen. The reason I'm doing this is because you already voted. I mean, you done voted for the people you see up here and all the people I named. I want to acknowledge Commissioner Smith just walked in. Thanks for coming, sir. Yeah, you already voted, okay? And the significance of reading those names off is that we're all recipients of public funds. I keep it real simple. Based on that, we work for you. So I'm here to make sure you see your elected officials, your representatives that you voted for at the table. Because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. That's my belief on how the process goes. Also, you want them to be no chapter and verse as it pertains to any transportation issues that are going on throughout this district and areas that they represent. And they agreed to come, and that's what we're gonna do. What you have here is FDOT, who works up under the purview of the State House, and me as a state representative. You have your county commissioner, you have your city commissioners, and a host of other electeds that work on those different levels. And it's a hierarchy. So people need to understand how it works and what goes on and what happens so they won't have sleepless nights and start jumping off bridges and, well, don't jump off that bridge, but start trying to harm themselves about what they think might happen. Because, I mean, it's a lot that's been said and done. I've heard a lot. I listen. That's what I do, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. And what the format that I want to do is want to hear from you guys. We'll do a line around the side to the mic. I got, where's Vanna White? Vanna White and Vanna Blue. They're going to capture. They're going to capture whatever your concern or question is. All I ask, and respectful of time and the people in this room, make it under a minute. If you want to make a comment, make it a minute. If you want to try to do a speech and a question, make it a minute. Out of respect for everybody else. Or if you want to ask a question, make it a minute. And you don't have to use the whole minute so we can get everyone through. Again, I don't have an agenda. I want to capture what you say. I want to write it down. We're going to break and grab some food on the other side of the wall, courtesy of your elected officials. We paid for it out of our own pocket. And then after that, we'll come back. I want to address every concern and question one by one. And after that, I want to do a historical presentation of where we come from, how we got to where we're at, why we need it, and also after that, a timeline to show you the process of how we go through vetting each of these 12 individual concerns as it pertains to environment, community, and business interests. It's a process. I know it's a process. A lot of people have got heated. Like I said, keep that heat. Keep that heat. I'm not here for that. I'm here to hear from you, try to address that, and then when we get done with the end of it, we can tell you where we go from there. If they didn't catch your email outside, you might want to put that down. We blast a lot of emails out to try to keep everybody in the loop. Remember, Tallahassee, County Commission, City, we all work together. And I want you to see that because I didn't want you to have one person popping up here. He didn't know that. It's a lot has been done. And the people that met and been meeting, I thank God for them. I even told Commissioner Byrd, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. I hail out of Pinellas County. Commissioner Byrd been here all his life. He know what has come and gone. So I need that historical data so we can learn from that as we move forward. But at the same time, we got to be cognizant on the people and the people it's going to affect also. And that's why I gather from that. So I do not know all. That's why I invited staff. I could not get this staff again. I'll say in the beginning, once we qualified, they shut everything down. We couldn't even send our email blasts because it's an unfair advantage to the people running against us. If I got all this staff and I can do all these town halls, then I could be, there's no way they're going to be able to touch me. So they shut all that down during the whole process. But once I got through it, I wanted to make sure that I came out to you and first apologize for not doing it earlier. But at the same time, I reached out to all the elected officials I knew. I called them all on their cell phone, and I emailed to make sure they knew what was going on and invited them here so you can see them and they can hear your concerns too. So, like I said, I want to start, and we can do, we got to go on this side, but both ladies can capture them so we can do two at a time. If you want, if you got a concern, or if you got a question, please, ma'am, please, sir, just come around the side here, come up to the mic. They have the mic on. We want to capture those concerns on the paper. That way you'll know we're serious about your concern. It's been taken down and it's been addressed. So we'll start with that, and then we'll proceed on to the rest of the night. Once we capture all those, like I said, we'll break and get something to eat while we compile whatever concerns and questions that we have. We will come back and answer every one of them. If we don't have the answer, I can assure you that I will get the answer and get it to you personally. So you want to, you can start on that side because you can write. You got a marker?
Well, yeah, one of us will write at one time.
Okay.
How can you ask questions when you haven't seen the presentation?
No. It's not. Let me back up again. Okay. I am here to hear your concerns as it pertains to transportation, period. Whatever concern you may have. There's no presentation. There's no agenda. The presentation I'm talking about is to get you caught up on where we come from, where we're going, and why this is needed. Anything is needed. But I want to hear from the people. Do they even think it? You might not think it's a traffic problem. I need to know that. I want to see that. I like seeing. So I don't have any no agendas. The presentation, FDOT is here to support me to show the timelines and stuff and show you the way the process works. So if you hear the yelling scream, that's great, but that's not what I'm doing. It's not a we got a process and we're going to tell you this is what we're going to do. That's not what I'm doing. That's not where I came in at, and hopefully I'll learn some stuff tonight too.
I'll get a little harder here, but we're not able to see any of the bridge alternatives that are out there.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
But if you want to come around, if you have a question as it pertains to what's happening in your community, as it pertains to transportation, I want to hear from you. If you don't, we can move on. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. You got 1 minute. You can do a dance. You can tell a joke. You can do whatever you want. But I want to capture it, and hopefully I can address that. We only got one. Well, if it's only one person speaking, I give him 2 minutes. No, we just, yeah. Okay, well, if no one's getting up, he can get 2 minutes. I mean, I don't have a problem.
My name is MacArthur Sellers, and just cutting to the chase. This community was worried about the forced flyover in our community without our input. And we didn't hear 12 suggestions, sir. We actually only heard 2, and that second one was kind of a force because we didn't like the first one.
Yes, ma'am, come on up.
My name is Lynn Daniel. I live over here in Riviera Dunes. My largest concern at this moment is I have cancer. If you look out in our neighborhood, I think the average age is probably 45 and up. We have people with health issues. I'm here to learn as much as I can about the flyover bridge. I've lived in every major city in the U.S. I see what they do to the neighborhoods. Concerned as hell about the city of Palmetto and West Bradenton. And that's what I want to learn more about is this flyover bridge, the health risks, the noise that it brings, etc.
Thank you. Yes, sir, come on up.
Yes, I'm Fred Sperry. I'm also from Riviera Dunes. And I think our biggest concern is, from what we've seen in the CMNAA study, is that we've got 5 of the alternatives that involve elevated highways around our community. 3 of them on one side, options, 2 of them on the other. And we're trying to force, I guess, about 80% of the increase in traffic down these corridors. And we're not looking at I-75 and other options. And we think if the third of the traffic that currently is non-local traffic was reduced and we looked at other options for it, that we could easily keep an at-grade solution that would meet the 2040 needs. So I want to know, are we looking at other options to actually reduce the through traffic?
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Deborah Sperry, and I am a resident of Riviera Dunes as well. We have written many letters to all of the local officials. You guys have received some. I know the folks in the back have. The City of Palmetto. We've attended many of the MPO meetings and citizen groups and continue to voice our opinions. And we have been trying very hard to keep this professional and focus on solutions and not turn this into a bitch session, okay? The primary thing that we would, that's a B-I-T, yeah.
We're about MBTV.
But our primary concern is the flyover, and we recognize there's a traffic problem out here, but everything that, and all the reports that we have seen show that there's going to be an increase in traffic in front of us on 301, taking the traffic off of I-75. So I don't even understand that. If you look at the FDOT's numbers, they show that themselves. These are their own numbers. And I brought you a letter today laying all of those alternatives out. And we really do think a third bridge needs to be built somewhere and not just double deck. We would love to see an at-grade solution put in place. Thank you.
My name is Keith Ewer, and I live over at Riviera Dunes. Been a resident here for a number of years. I grew up in Pennsylvania, where the interstate highway system started, and the first thing they did was they made a pledge to route the traffic around the cities. The through traffic that's going someplace else doesn't need to go right through the middle of a city, and yet we have I-75 5 miles away. And we're running all of these people down 301 right through the middle of Palmetto and Bradenton to take them on to Sarasota, when they really should be going down I-75. So not only do we have noise problems, we have pollution problems from the extra traffic going down there, the cars, the exhaust and everything gives off pollution. I've been in healthcare 40 years. I know what bad lungs look like. But it's prudent also for us to think about all of the people up and down the coast here in this area needing to evacuate in a hurry. And what happens if you have just a couple of major traffic arteries and you have a problem with one of those arteries getting shut down? It would be prudent to have multiple routes for people to get in and out of this area in a hurry if they need to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Carol Jamil. I also live at Riviera Dunes. I'm part 1 and he's going to be part 2. The flyover, even if you make it a 20-lane highway, it's not going to solve the problem because everything is going to funnel down into that traffic light. All you're going to do is you're going to have a big parking lot right outside of our building, and that's not going to help anyone. So it doesn't matter. The weak link is the way it's funneling in. It's not going to cure anything by building a flyover. You're just going to have more cars polluting the air. So the solution would be, and then I'm going to introduce.
Come on, solution.
I'm her husband. So the important thing is the solution.
You said your name?
I'm her husband. My name is Adel Jamil.
That's a good save. I introduced my wife as the boss.
Adel Jamil, write it down.
I introduced my wife as the boss of me. So that's a
ADEL,
good save.
last name Jamil, Jamil. Okay, I also live with my wife, Riviera Dunes Way, and I have a suggestion which is very easy to test it. It will not cost very little money, not a lot of money. Why don't you just close the ramps to Route 19 on both 275 and 75, and just have the I said close the exit ramps from Route 19, from 275 into 19 and 75 into 19. I watch the traffic every morning and I drive 7 miles to work. I'm a manufacturer also. And for 7 miles, not in rush hour, it takes me 20, 25 minutes because every light you stop. And you ruin the engine, the brakes, and everything. So this one problem also, the traffic lights need to be synchronized like any modern city. Like in Manhattan, I live in Manhattan 30 years, I can go much faster than I can go here on 301. So another thing is if you shut down these exits, so then you have 301 exit for people coming to Palmetto, you have 64 to coming to Bradenton, and you have multiple 70 and I don't know, 44 maybe in the future for people coming to these areas. I see all the traffic coming, most of it coming all the way north from 275 and 75 on 19 on a small bridge, and you come to like a traffic jam gauntlet like by Wayne Raceway, and nobody can exit anymore. Traffic lights are not synchronized. I stop on every light. Every day I go over there. So this is my suggestion. You can try it very cheaply. Just block the exit for 6 months and see the result. I think it's going to resolve a lot of the problems. But a small bridge would be nice.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sandy Prindle. I am a property owner at Laguna, Riviera Dunes Way, like a lot of my neighbors here. We attended back in October a committee with the commissioners. There were 2 pieces of information disseminated that I wanted to address to y'all. One was that it seemed like the favorite alternative discussed among the commissioners themselves was this 301 with the flyover bridge going directly by our high school down here, and then catching the road to the main bridge in across the Sky Bridge. The second thing that we were shown a diagram and a pamphlet that showed that all FDOT funding stopped at the north end of that flyover bridge, basically just dropping it and dumping it on the city of Palmetto. I think that is about as bad a faith of punishment by FDOT on our city of Palmetto for opposing their earlier alternatives. I really believe that the golf course option that they have as one of the 12 alternatives needs to be the most seriously considered because, as some of the others have stated, it circles the traffic around the city of Palmetto, connects into the far north of 19, and then goes into the road leading to the Sky Bridge. The second thing that FDOT told us at that meeting was that regional traffic coming north from Interstate 75 comprised only 4% of the traffic coming across this bridge. I ask you as my representatives, let's make them prove that. I don't believe it. I don't believe that 4% is all of the traffic we have going across that bridge that's coming off of Interstate 75. You have a lot of people on 75, of course, that are going to want to take the shortcut over to the Sky Bridge, and I'm saying the golf course gives them that alternative. It will rechannel the traffic around our city and not endanger our condo community nor the high school further up, which is another main concern that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is J.J. Kelly, and I'm an owner and resident of Riviera Dunes. I also do research into the future of technology, and I want to point out the difference between a high-speed, high-capacity highway that's designed to solve what I will call an imaginary increase in traffic 40 years or 30 years down the road versus what we need to solve the present problem and for the next 10 to 20 years. Because technology is advancing at such a rate, in 30 years, we're not going to be driving the cars as people. They're going to be driving themselves, and they're going to be communicating with each other and with the roadway infrastructure. The car that you get into to take you somewhere is going to do its best to avoid congestion. It will be communicating with the traffic lights to get them to change because of the traffic that's approaching them. It'll be negotiating speeds with other vehicles so that they don't have the bunch-ups that occur. And I want to make sure that we all understand that because of the exponential growth in technology, no one, not even FDOT, can predict what our lifestyles and our driving patterns and the pressures on our roadways will be in 30 years. It is just as likely that in 30 years, the traffic out there will be decreasing rather than increasing. People will be living longer, they'll be healthier longer, they may have to work more years, they may not be retiring and coming to Florida in 30 years the way we think they are going to. And with the 3D virtual realities coming, people won't need to get in their car and go places like they do today. Already we're seeing all the younger people wanting to work at home, and you're seeing an increase in that. They're not going into the office, using video conferencing, et cetera. Shopping on Amazon is keeping us from going to the store. And in 30 years, you can bet you're going to have that Amazon drone delivering the packages and your groceries, et cetera, to the specially designated place in your home or your office. So we don't know with any reliability or certainty that there's going to be a big increase 30 years down the road. It could just as well be a decrease. What we do need is a solution for now and for the next 10 to 20 years while we figure out what the technology is going to be doing to our lifestyles. What we need now is a solution to the congestion in right downtown Bradenton. It's more an issue of that than it is the carrying capacity of the road out here or the bridge. We need lanes, we need a new bridge with new lanes that help separate and expedite either the local traffic or the long range or the throughput traffic that's going on through. And I don't think we need an elevated highway designed for a problem that's 30 years down the road.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susie Copeland. I live in the city of Bradenton on 27th Street. Thank you, Representative Wingate, for bringing this group together. My main concern, and I think there's been a large miscommunication. When I first looked at the plan, and I picked it up from the city of Bradenton, the planning department, I only saw 4 alternatives. And each 3 of those were kind of disregarded. 27th Street was one. They've got the Indian burial ground, so that was a no-brainer. You got 15th Street East. They've got the old cemetery there. You couldn't do that. And you had 9th Street, which you have a historical area down there, and that wouldn't work. So the only other option that was presented and laid out in the plan was the flyover. That's my issue. And in addition to that, the community was not informed about this. I received a call at the very last about this proposed plan. So I think communication is a critical area that the community is not being informed. Secondly, I heard that the construction of the bridge posed a serious issue, that if nothing is done about the bridge out here, that we're going to have some serious problems too. So there's an issue with the construction of that bridge. The flyover does not work for me. I think it terribly, terribly destroys a community that's already divided. We have a historical church there on First Street. You're talking about a church that's over 100 years old. Why are you going to displace those people? The cost associated with that church being displaced is just not reasonable. It was not a good decision. I know we need to do something about the traffic pattern here in Manatee County. I'm retired. I don't get out too early because you've got that traffic there. But there are people who have to go to work and to get tied up in that traffic. So there is a traffic issue, and we need to address it. But as we address it, please keep the community informed as to what you're proposing. Hear from us. We know what we live here. We know what we're experiencing, and we'd like to hear from FDOT, hear from the citizens. Don't make a decision without informing the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is Saul Feynman. I also live in Riviera Dunes, do a good portion. Hi, everybody. Well, JJ stole some of my thunder. The other thing is, I really feel as if we had been getting railroaded through, as the last lady just mentioned, that we didn't know what was going to be going on, and it seemed as if, and still does, is that the commissioners basically want to push this thing through, get this skyway, or this double-decker flyover, thank you, built, and to hell with us. And that's basically how it is felt. I believe a lot of us are very angry about that, unfortunately. I lived in Los Angeles for 35 years. I watched the traffic patterns and what happened over those years when they continually widen roads, never made a difference. Just more and more cars were going over, more people were moving into the area, and I'm just wondering how much long-term view is being looked at as opposed to let's just get this done, let's just move forward and move on to the next thing. I think there's got to be a lot more discussion about this, and hopefully that will happen now. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Louis Zinzi, and I do not live in Riviera Dunes. There's something special for you now. Okay. I live east of I-75, and I moved to Florida 7 years ago, and I'm in the area around State Road 64 and Rye Road. That area is continuing to grow and has grown significantly in the 7 years that I've lived there, and it's on the cusp of growing even faster with number of new subdivisions being planned. In that relative area, it appears that the roads and road widenings, right, take place after all the subdivisions are built. So I believe we have the cart well ahead of the horse, okay? The infrastructure needs to be there when it's known that subdivisions that are bringing in hundreds of new homes, that's hundreds of homes, which will be maybe thousands of people, and obviously the number of cars, okay, they're gonna be there, and then it's years later that the roads get widened to accommodate that. I think that is basically ridiculous. So I'd like to see some effort made to know what the future is, even the near-term future needs are, so they can be addressed quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Valerie Biebuck. I'm president of the Belmare Condominium Association at Riviera Dunes, and I would like to thank you for allowing all of us to come here and express our opinions tonight. Thank you very much. The final decision with respect to the DeSoto Bridge must comply with the National Environmental Policy Act. NEPA mandates that officials consider projects in terms of context, including effects on society, locality, and the severity of the project's impact on public health and safety. Additionally, a presidential executive order directs federal agencies to safeguard environmental justice by identifying and addressing disproportionately high and adverse effects of federal projects on the health and environment of minority and low-income populations, many of which have been torn apart by transportation projects that accommodated capacity at the expense of human beings. Moreover, community vision expressed in the comprehensive plans of Palmetto and Bradenton must be honored in the decision, including a commitment to multimodal transportation and a small-town atmosphere. An elevated expressway for through traffic is at odds with the law, sound public policy, and the physical, social, and economic well-being of individuals and communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles B. Smith, 1701 4th Avenue West, Palmetto. I am a resident of the city of Palmetto. Brother Wingate, thank you so much for putting this on, State Representative. I'm going to be quick and brief. Folks, let me tell you something, be honest with you. My family owns about $5 million worth of property close by here, so we got a personal estate. We own $8 million in St. Petersburg before they built the flyover, State Representative. We own that plaza store, liquor store, and everything. Valued at $8 million. When FDOT met with us in the community and started telling us what they were going to do, the property dropped 85%, and we sold it 10 cents on the dollar. That's a fact. River Dunes, wake up. Wake up. The city of Palmetto is 46% poverty. Right now as I speak to you, the Latino community, we need to help them. 46% poverty. That's why your Palmetto High is getting ready to go to a special school. This year is going to bring homeless in. St. Pete, as you know, had a homeless problem. Federal government said you can't move them from under bridges. Now, I love this community. I love everyone in here. My family's not willing to lose millions of dollars again. My last comment, we need leadership. All this misinformation, most of you sent me emails, we met, and it seems to me that the flyover is what they want us to go for. River Dunes, your property is going to drop. Don't let nobody tell you. We talked about economists who want to come in here and tell us what the economic would be to us. We haven't seen a report. Economists will come in here and tell you what it's going to be. I can tell you this here, we lost almost everything. If we would have multi-businesses, and some of you been to this plaza, Ms. Jenny Precia, you know what I'm talking about. $8 million, guess what? 1.5 is what we got for it when they started building the flyover. We couldn't give it away till my dad got tired of paying taxes on it. So you think about what I've said. We need leadership. We need executive order from the city of Palmetto, our mayor, stating a position on this. She can do it. She don't need a vote. That's what we need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, everybody liked him really well, so that's what I was going to say. I'm sorry, but I'm in Riviera Dunes too. And all of us that are there all bought because it was up-and-coming community. We thought it was safe, small town, and great views, great people. If you look now at the traffic going over the bridge, for whatever reason, and the sound and the noise, that's too, I don't know how that got in there, and the smog, it's creating a situation that until they do what JJ says and change the way we're driving, it's going to get worse, not better. And as far as the value of everybody's property, whether it's in Riviera Dunes or surrounding, if you go to any other city that's had the flyover and you look at the communities around it, it's not healthy. We were on a trip and we were in, Seattle. Excuse me for the mental fog. That's because of the traffic, the mental fog. They were taking the flyovers out, tearing them down, and people were excited that that was happening no matter what the cost is. And everybody, the bus drivers, the people that we were using to get through and in and out were ecstatic. Why? But wherever the flyovers were, if you looked at the traffic and the condition of the property and how it was being destroyed, you realize that it sounds good. But folks, it's not. And we need to stay in touch. I appreciate what you all are doing, and we all do. But the appreciation is great, but we need to stand together and make it so that our community rises in value, not say, oh, that was a bad idea, now what? Thank you.
Rodney Jones, 213 16th Avenue West in Bradenton. My other life, I'm president of the Manatee County branch of the NAACP, and to Mr. Wingate, we appreciate you, as always, trying to get information out to the community. But I'm surprised that these gentlemen would even show their face here again after some of the things that they've done here. We talk about an economic factor. What about a human factor? We don't have the big pretty houses and the boats and the ramps and all these wonderful things. And I'm not knocking those who went and got it. I'm not. I'm just stating the point. And we have been disrespected in the most flagrant and offensive way that someone can. Because it was right in our face, and it's like you slap my mom in the face and then you just keep walking down the street. No, I'm still here where you slapped my mom in the face and you slapped our community in the face when you came in with those lies. And that's exactly what you did. You placated. You made a very deliberate attempt to keep us out of the process. My neighborhood is the highest performer. Not that they're recommending there, but I live in the shadow of First Street, in the shadow of St. Mary's Church. That doesn't mean anything to you either. I don't see how you didn't see that church almost sitting in the middle of First Street when you walked in there. You know, just extremely disrespectful, and I'm surprised you came back here. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But what they did to the black community, what they did was we are the highest performer, meaning if, you know, good winds blow and they get their way, that would run right through the center of our neighborhood. We've already had a vein of death through there one time. You go to Palmetto, they call it Vietnam. We've had almost 40 people killed there, and there hadn't been a word, but let one of those white kids get killed out on Lakewood Ranch. You're on television. Don't wipe your sweat, brother. There ain't nothing to sweat about because it's a God heaven's truth. You know, if something happens out there, FDOT's on TV. They're doing all kind of traffic studies and everything else. We had a high school kid get killed there, and nobody said a word. And so we're supposed to float along with y'all. You know, it doesn't make sense. And if for everybody in here, if we allow this to happen, and I'm right along with Charles Smith, we need grown men to stand up and grown women to stand up and be leaders right now. And if we settle for this, it'll be a shame on us. But I'm surprised y'all would show y'all face here again.
Thank you.
I'm Ann Buchanan. I live at Riviera Dunes, but my comment is not on our property values and everything else because it's been very well said. I am reiterating the health concerns. You know it's legal, but I have not seen, even though research is blatantly clear that living within 500 feet of an expressway, and this will be the equivalent of I-75, is the numbers that are given us, creates cancer, creates diseases. Noise-induced hearing loss is caused at levels far below what will happen. And as adults, we are accountable for our kids. And we've got an elementary school and 2 high schools. We've got businesses and constituents. And unless you're prepared to create an injury compensation fund right alongside of this highway, I don't see how you could possibly justify it. And I think you're setting yourself up for lawsuits because, as Valerie pointed out very clearly, it is illegal to damage the public health, and the research is really clear on this. And so, yeah, I think the highways need to go, from my perspective, in unpopulated areas. And there's grass on either side of I-75, and so that's a really great place, plus more bridges for evacuations or whatever. But
So good evening, my name is Kerry Daniel, I live in Riviera Dunes. So one comment, study after study after study has shown that flyover bridges destroy communities. Doesn't matter your socioeconomic background, it just flat does. Second, I'm confused at where we are in the decision-making process. How far along is this thing? And I want to know what my recourse is and our community's recourse is to get it stopped. That's it.
How you doing? Hi, my name is Doug Cardenti, and I'm from a place very close to here. And I'm confused as to why the town of Palmetto is catering to the needs of St. Pete and Braden and well, Bradenton perhaps, in that all of this talk of the flyover bridge is not going to help anyone in this room. Is there anybody here from St. Pete? Well, there's always, is there anyone here from Sarasota? This is, the whole conversation of the flyover bridge is to help those people get through this as fast as we can, and we're going to all suffer for accommodating them getting there quicker. In fact, what I would say is this gentleman here that said close the exits, I would slow all the traffic down. Why do they have to go 50 miles an hour at the intersection over here where there's a blinking yellow light? Why no one's ever killed there, I have no idea. Why not slow the traffic down so there's less reason to come here and more reason to go out to I-75?
Thank you.
All right, Keenan Wooten here, 1915th, 11th Avenue East. All of this, all of the rallying, all of the crying out, all of the opposition to what has taken place has lit a fire under my generation's backside to come out and vehemently oppose what's being proposed. A lot of millennials that I run with kind of taking the back seat, not really saying much, but not this one. I joined the MPO advisory committee just to be able to sit at the table and bring our voices to the table to situations that's going on in our community. So just here, happy to be here, soaking it up. I'm glad everyone is waking up. I'm one of the ones pounding the pavement every day, trying to get that word out. And so I'm here. I'm glad to see everyone else here to be against that and to work together to get the best option for this problem we have in this county. So I'm here. I'm opposed to it, and I'm just glad to be here and glad to see everyone coming together on what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm another resident of Riviera Dunes as of 17 years, so I've seen a lot of things grow and a lot of good things happen, but I'm very concerned in the immediate short term with Haben Boulevard. It's fondly known as Haben 500 where I live. There are speeding issues, there are major issues with flagrant disregard for U-turn signs. There is huge trucks coming up and down that thing. In fact, I observed a double-story car trailer. I guess it's at least 50, 60 feet long, trying to maneuver around the roundabout right outside the school. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion, before there are some serious issues in terms of safety with Haben Boulevard. So I agree with everything everybody has said, but I think in the immediate short term, some further consideration needs to be given to limiting the traffic and filtering the traffic through that school area of Haben Boulevard. Thank you.
Thank you.
How much does this have to do with the new hotel that's going to be built? Because, you know, they've approved that. I just thought of that. And what's the political climate for that hotel? There's a hotel that's going to be built right behind the convention center here. Yeah, you didn't know about that? Oh, surprising. Well, I'm beginning to think that a lot of this has to do with the politics over that hotel being built right there. Just, there you go.
Thank you.
I'm going to totally change gears. Good evening, everybody. Representative, thank you for hosting. My name is Charlie Kennedy. I'm your District 2 School Board representative, but I stand here before you as Charlie Kennedy of the City of Bradenton, 2309 7th Avenue West. And I am not here to talk about the flyover. I am here to talk about something completely different. And let me just come with me, okay? Let's reduce the tension. Let's go to the beach. All right, follow along with me. You're heading out Manatee Avenue to go to the beach. All right. Once you cross 75th Street West, you all know there's signs that say, "Hey, begin to the lane ends start to merge." I would like to make the suggestion, since it is State Route 64 and this is a FDOT purview, that those signs should actually say, "Use both lanes to the merge point." And those two lanes should become a zipper so that traffic, as it hits the causeway, flows much more smoothly. Because for those of us who are going out to the beach, I'm fortunate that my dad is a snowbird, and he is here right now, and so every weekend I drive out a couple times. And the near road rage incidents you see, because people are fighting over those two lanes, it is really such a simple fix. It's really just a change of like 3 signs. And after a little bit of time, people will learn you're going to get all that traffic off of the area east of 75th Street, and you'll fill up those 2 lanes. And then after a couple months, people will know it, and it will run smoothly. So maybe simple, I don't know, but that's just my suggestion. Yeah. The sign should say, "Use both lanes to the merge point." Thanks, everybody. I'll see you here tomorrow night.
Lawrence Livingston, longtime preacher of this community. I was told about 50 years ago we were not supposed to get Highway 41 through the Lincoln community. We have it now, and the speed is too high. I was there when this 15-year-old boy was killed, and I was there when they put him into the hearse. And 50 years ago, our community has suffered overtime because of that. The speed is too high. We still have homes that are within 10 feet of that highway. And somehow, this needs to be readdressed with the speed coming through that neighborhood. We do have options. As one gentleman said, the millennials, my granddaughter brought our great-grandchildren to church yesterday, 18 months old, and she's a professional nurse, as I'm a former professional nurse, and she's working from home. She doesn't have to go out. And so that's going to change in this millennials. A lot of jobs going to change when people don't have to go out to work. Thank you. Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Ron Vittori, and I
live very close to here also. I'm actually a little bit confused and would like to have a little bit of clarification as to what this study really is supposed to do. What is the agenda out there? Because we have really two distinct factors that are going on with this study right now. Seems like one has to do with the community well-being, has to do with traffic congestion, having to do with health, having to do with how do we get around in the community better. And then they threw something else in there that says, oh, and we're going to increase the mobility from like St. Petersburg to Sarasota, which is totally independent of anything that the first one really is doing. So what I would really like to see is maybe we should modify the study and actually separate it into the points that we're really looking at. Okay, because when you're talking about the flyover, you're not talking about community concern or health or well-being whatsoever. Okay, you're talking about how do I get from point A to point B as quickly as we can, and I don't care who the hell has to pay for it. Okay, and the other study, like we said, is really, are we really trying to do the right thing for the community? So I'd like to see a clarification if that was possible, possibly to even remove that whole section about trying to increase the movement, because even in the initial study that they're talking about, they're actually predicting that the two bridges right now will have increased capacity greater than that of 75. And that's going to be a problem. So anyway, I'd like to just see a clarification. Let's do the study for what the study was supposed to be. If it's for the good for the community, let's focus on that. And if it's going to be for trying to get quicker from St. Petersburg to Sarasota, well, let that be another study. Okay? So let's go down and keep it pure and keep it for what it's supposed to be for. The second thing that I'd like to see is the fact that I seem to remember starting to come to these meetings sometime in July, June, whatever it was, and they keep on talking about this FDOT study that we were supposed to be seeing the results out. And it was supposed to be coming out in August. Then it was supposed to be out in September. Then we were guaranteed it was supposed to be in November or December, and then the last time said, oh, wait, February we're going to see it. And so we're not going to give you any issues, we're not going to give you any answers, we're not going to make any comments until this study comes out so we could really see what it's about. Yet, I don't know, has anybody here seen it yet? Okay, so in other words, this is going to be another meeting that everybody gets to sit around and talk about their concerns. Everybody is legitimately concerned, but nothing seems to be getting done about it. So I don't understand. So is the FDOT ever going to produce any results of the time that they've been spending, that they've been delaying us, so that we have something substantial that we can actually talk about? Right now, everything is just conjecture because we don't really know. So anyway, that's my 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
These will be our last two.
Bill Grimsley, address 66 YRS, Manatee County. This county should not let this happen with the flyover. But I'm more concerned about, what about mass transportation? What about getting these cars off the road, period? Nobody said anything about mass transportation. That's what we need. We don't need a flyover. And build streets and highways away from this place. We don't need them. We don't need them. We find what's in our area right now, we good. You came to us with a flyover with no exits. They didn't have no exits on the flyover. So what that's telling us? Point A to B. Yeah, I'm going from point A to point B. Y'all talking about Sarasota, it ain't going to Sarasota, it's going to right where the mall is on 44. So everything can go to Lakewood Ranch. Y'all hear me now? Okay? And then, this is another Brewster place. Y'all check that movie out, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. All it does is close out our community. All right? You're going to separate us again. That's what they're doing. DOT, we see you coming. This is not 1955. Understand me?
Thank you.
Thank you all for this evening. My name is Jamie Gage. I do live in Riviera Dunes. 3 quick points that have come to mind as I've attended these meetings. The first of all, as you can see my costume, I'm in the healthcare business. And we think about what's happening to the environment, whether it's noise pollution, air pollution, water pollution, that takes place now with everything that comes. We've done our own studies, and the noise pollution that we hear that already exists on the 4 lanes that are here already exceed what's allowed by the government. So does everybody understand that not only are we going to have a flyover bridge that's 4 lanes, because we have 4 lanes now, there's going to be 6 lanes underneath that. We're going to have 10 lanes of traffic going through here. So you need to put that in your mind and realize that there's only 6 lanes of traffic on our I-75. So it's going to make a huge difference. Riviera Dunes, big community. 60 to 65% of the tax base for Palmetto comes out of there. So if our property values decline by 50%, which we already have a number of condos that aren't selling and they were asking 30% less than what they were asking a couple years for before these conversations started taking place. I mean, what's Palmetto going to do as a city that has a tax base that has 30% less money to spend? And who else, developer-wise, is going to want to come and spend money to develop out here? They're not going to. They're going to go to Parrish, they're going to go to Lakewood Ranch, University, somewhere else. So those are all things to consider. My last point is, if you haven't been in the hospital at Manatee Memorial, or your parents haven't, in the next 20 years, we all will be. And if you're in there recuperating from an open heart surgery or something, and you're there for 5 or 7 days, you got 10 lanes of traffic going right outside your window. 24/7. So that's something to think about. So thank you. Thank you.
All right. Everybody spoke that wanted to speak? Everybody spoke.
Are you going to do something about it, or what's your plan, is what he said?
Will you ask him when we're going to get an answer?
Well, it's, everybody, I asked it when I was up there, is where are we at in the decision-making process, right? What can be done from a community, a legislative perspective to stop it? And then what are you guys that have come here today going to help us do? That's one. Second thing is, I learned something new tonight about a hotel that's going over here. I'd like to know who approved that, how it got approved, and who owns it.
Can I address that, Rob? Can I address that? All right. Everybody that spoke that wanted to speak?
We need an answer. We need to be told that the flyover is not going to happen, because we've had wonderful meetings like this time and time again. And so we need to know. Okay? We need an answer so that we have it in writing that we won't have a flyover, that we want the traffic problem diverted from this area, not increased to this area. Thank you.
All right, for those of you who arrived late and didn't hear what the format was going to be, when you arrived, you saw 2 blank pads. Now you have one that has, was it 27 speakers on it? Questions or comments? So what we're going to do, we're going to answer each one of those questions. Ones that we can't answer tonight, we'll come back with information to whomever asked it. I don't know if we captured the name of but we can ask the question, whoever the author was, if they can give us information, I would assure you will get an answer to that. So what we're going to do now is go in, and we're going to compile the ones that are like-minded. I think I heard, I don't know, about 20 or 30 say flyover, something like that. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at all the other questions that people wanted to ask. Again, I have not attended not one of those meetings. I spent 5 to 6 months in Tallahassee. I have staff here in the community that has been out there. I was trying to put this on before qualifying started, and I drew 2 opponents. Once I drew opponents and we qualified, I cannot get any state support, any state staff, any state resources. FDOT works for me. We have 120 legislators, 40 senators, a governor, CFO, Ag Commission, and Attorney General. 164 people running 67 counties, 412 cities, 21 million people. That's what we do. So I wanted to come out here personally to hear from the individuals what their concerns was, what they thought was going on, and also propose it to them as we break, because we have food on the other side. You can eat if you want to. You don't have to. But we're gonna it's a $10 cover. No, I'm just kidding. But we're gonna compile those and answer the ones we can do the best we can tonight. FDOT is in the room to support me at my request, at my concern, because I heard a whole lot of stuff when I was driving around. But if you know me, I'm going to the source. It's the Florida Department of Transportation, not the Florida Department of Roads, for those of you who understand what FDOT is. Florida Department of Transportation, multimodal, autonomous vehicles, mass transit, we do it all. And we will show you where we're at in the process when we after we do the questions, respond to those. We're going to do historical, how we got from where we're at to where we're at now. Also, the timeline of what has taken place, where we are, and where it's proposing to go, if at all. That's all I'm doing. I said when I start this meeting, if you got grief and beef with people, keep that. If you want to sue people and make lawyers rich, do that. This is not why I came here. I came here because I heard constituents had a concern about transportation in this area. And I came to hear from them, from the source. I didn't take a third party or fourth party by anybody, any group, any clique. I want to hear from your mouth, look into your face, look into your eyes, and hear what your concerns were. That's what I do. I don't just do it when I'm campaigning. Nobody up here is campaigning. Again, you already voted. We're recipients of public funds. So by virtue of that, we work for the public. I named off all the elected officials that were in the room that cared to come out and participate, and I appreciate them for that. And this is what I was doing. There was no agenda. You saw that when I came in here. No one has any flyers, none of that. But it will be a presentation to show you historically where we're at. That's what she said to do, to show you also the timeline. Oh, yes. Reverend Golden, our school board member Golden, thanks for coming out, sir. We have another school board member that showed up. If you guys want to give him a hand. Thanks for coming out. So that's what we're getting ready to do. It's 28? How many was it? 27. So 27, you will have an answer to your question. I think you asked that, and I think they captured it on the thing, so you will get an answer to that. So that's what I want to do. I didn't want to sit here and go back and forth and tell you what's best for where you live. That's not why I came here. It's not why I came here. That's not why I came here. So if you came to look at that and to go back and forth and argue, I'm sorry you got to the wrong meeting. That was not what I was doing, okay? Again, the secretary says he had never seen it before, to have this many elected officials from the top down, voted for by the people, to be able to be at the table as it pertains to transportation. That's all I was doing. You got questions, you got concerns, you do not need to get a third and fourth party. You need to have someone that can answer your concerns, that's speaking to the people that's working for you, because they get paid public funds too. That's how that works. We heard you loud and clear. I think we captured everything you said, even the insults, we got those too. Some of us resemble those remarks, but it's okay. I got alligator skin. I didn't get into this to get people to like me. If you want people to like you, you got to give away ice cream. You can't sell it. Everybody like ice cream, but you can't sell it. You got to give it away. But I'm here to face it head on and hear from the people myself. So when I talk with the secretary, when I sit down with my representatives and my delegation, we can talk ecstatically about what effect this would have on our community and our district and the people in it. But to do that, you got to come here from the people. You can't hear third party. You can't hear or read an article out of the newspaper or a quote on Facebook or something about somebody that somebody don't like. I want to thank these individuals because they serve, and it's not a hard job. And you had a choice when you went to the voting booth, so they are grateful that you voted for them. And now here's where you pay, because we're going to make sure you get your answers. If you would, please, ma'am, please, sir, we have food, coffee, and water next door, and we'll be back here. Give us 20 minutes, you think? 30 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll pick up from there. Thank you. Everybody make it back? All right. If you want to come in and settle down. We're going to be passing around a hat so you guys contribute for all that food y'all ate. Somebody got to pay for it, and we gave them a check that ain't going to clear if we don't get $2,000 out of the room. So we got the ice cream truck on the way, but we got to get the money up front. No, just kidding. All right. What? Oh, that's Michelle's. You put that rum down. That's for the representative. Ice water. What we're doing now, a lot of the questions were similar. Some of them were just statements. We can't answer your statement, but I wanted you to have something with a vet if that's what you wanted to do. Like I said in the beginning, we had 1 minute, but since there wasn't that many speakers, some went 2, some went 3, 4, 5, and 6. However, we could address all of the concerns that they had or the expressions they wanted to put out. We did get down to the nuts and bolts of the questions that were asked. So what we're going to do now is address those questions that the people came up and wanted to read to us, after which we will have a presentation. This is timeline or historical? Both. Okay, it's combined. It's a presentation on timeline and historical, so you will know exactly where we're at, exactly what's going on, all the questions that you asked. So I'm going to cover these real quick, and then we're going to cut to the presentation for you to be able to see it. Okay, the first one we had was, it says they're concerned about 4 suggestions on flyover only heard 2 options. Right now, we have 11 options with a possibility of adding another one for 12 options. Okay, the next, just again, I'll say it again, let me say it slow. We're going to cover the questions that were answered. Okay, we're going to go over each question that was given, give you an answer to your question. Then we got a presentation that will show you to fortify the questions that you had. Do you want me to sit there and name all? I can do that. But I think I'm trying to be more visual and put that up there. So if you would, please appease me. This is my first transportation meeting. This is the first meeting I had about anything to do with transportation in this county. And I thought it not robbery to come out tonight and hear from the people and their concerns. So, okay, the next one is has cancer, average age 45, wants to learn about the flyover options, health risks, Ben Rose. We're not able to eliminate any of the options right now, but the study will bring forth any concerns about health and environment that's required by law in our study that we're doing, the P&E study. And she will cover all that. I'm just going real quick to make sure I didn't disallow your question. Riviera Dunes, 5 alternatives involved: elevated highways forcing 80% of the traffic across the east corridor. Says look to other options to further out and reduce the through traffic. It's in the next phase, we can look at further out options. Some of the 11 options are further out. Okay, next one here, Riviera Dunes written letters to local officials and wants to focus on solutions, does not want flyover, wants a 3rd bridge, not just a double-decker. We have other options, greater options with the study, so that's not the only one. And they'll cover those in a second. Okay, this one here was about the, I'm sorry, it's 2 of them. It says the through traffic does not need to go through 301, be routed around in case there's an evacuation route. Okay, to this one, in the study, we also have an option. Oh, they all go, I'm sorry, they're both the same. Vanna Red is showing me the way to do this. And the second part was about the flyover and closing ramps into 75 and the 25-minute drive, 7 miles of traffic, lights need to be synchronized. There is another study going on, the possibility of taking 75 from 6 lanes to 10 lanes. So that should decrease some of those people cutting through the middle, and it's going to be, and express lanes. So it's going to, they're looking at that. That's some of the options too. This one here says, seems to favor, yes, this talked about FDOT stopping the funding at the north end of 75 or at Palmetto. And they said some stuff that was discussed at a meeting that only 4% of the traffic comes from I-75 north. I can tell you that still the FDOT study, yeah, it's still the road is still an FDOT road. It's a federal road, so funding does not stop even after the project is over. It's our responsibility to maintain that road. And the golf court. Correct. And then and the golf court is an option. That was the second half of that. This was the one about technology, embracing technology. In 30 years, we might not need the roads. We will consider all options, longer-term options. This is the Florida Department of Transportation. I said it before. Mass transit, autonomous vehicles, monorail, whatever we can come up with. So we'll look at to those options, too, to try to embrace that. This one was about more so about the community not being informed, not knowing what's going on. That's what tonight is about. I hope that you are respected on its face value. Again, I have not attended no meeting. I started out with blank pads. So this is not my agenda. It's your meeting. I'm just providing information. Correct. Again, it's an FDOT would take extra steps to keep the community informed. But another reason I was bringing your elected officials up, so they can keep you informed too. So they won't say they didn't know and they wasn't here, because all of the ones that were invited that can be here are here. But we also want them at the table, so we'll know what's going on. You ain't just got to look to me. But if they got a problem, they got my cell, we got the secretary's cell, we can get to that. That's what you didn't have. I think you had one here, one there, one maybe show up. Some people supporting one thing and the other. That's fine, but that's not where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to get to a solution, and we got 12 of them, but I definitely want to know about what's going to be detrimental to the district. Definitely want to hear from that. East 75.
With the infrastructure, when all of the developments are built?
Oh, okay. This one was about the development and the infrastructure. Those are county projects. They approve zoning changes and impact studies and all that. That has nothing to do with FDOT. That's your county that does that. When they come forth, if you hear them talking about a variance, okay, or a zoning change, that means that's something that don't fit, and they want you to change it so it'll fit. They got what they call a design hardship. They paid somebody to design something this big, they go into a square that big. Now they need to move your house or move a road to make it work. So that's all done locally, but you also have input, what the legislature have done. At any one of the public meetings after they approve their agenda, you have 3 minutes to voice your concerns. So anything they're voting on, you get to weigh in on that also. So I would tell you, please, ma'am, please, sir, use that. Don't just let them rezone stuff and build condos to the moon and then there's no roads to support them, because that's what's been going on. Right. We had the I think the president of the association, young lady that came up, had concerns about the environment and health. We are complying 100% with NEPA. That's what's being done. That's what's going to be done in the study. You will see it, and we're going to cover that. Right. And update it on the website. Right. Property values, as it pertains to flyovers and the impact to the communities, we address every option through social economic impact studies being done during the PD&E. That's going to be addressed. This one here was. This is another health one about smog and environment, and it's addressed during the P&E study. Okay. Health concerns. It's another health concern that's in the PD&E study. It says Central Manatee study, P&E. Okay. Right. They asked about the process. Right now, we're in between the Central Manatee study and the PD&E transitioning, and that's going to be covered in depth. What they mean by the central planning, I think that one came out with, I think, 4 options. And I just found that out, that people hate it, and they were very detrimental. And that was just putting it out there. That was not doing any environmental. That was not doing anything. They just put that out there, that Manatee study, and a Central Manatee study. But the PD&E delves deeper to see the impact and fully vets all 11, possibly 12 options. So it's 2 things that are going on. Right now, you're in the transitioning between the Central Manatee study and the PD&E. That's going to be covered here too. 2 seconds. Right. And the other one was the recourse if we do not like it. What will happen if it comes down to two that the people don't support and don't like, the bridge is failing and has to be replaced, so you might just get another bridge and brand new bridge, same traffic, same problem. That's called a no bill, but we gotta build that bridge. So that's a possibility. This is communication one. Okay. Yeah, it was a couple in here. This is Hayden Boulevard. So someone people brought up. That's the city of Palmetto. There's no one here to speak on that, and I will not speak on that. You have to go. You can go to their council meetings or contact your elected officials. Same with the hotel. That's city of Palmetto. I mean, you heard all the people I read off. None of them are here. I don't want to. In fact, they're in a council meeting as we speak. I don't want to misspeak or Sorry. Well, the Commissioner Smith was going to come, but they're in a council meeting, so he had to be there. It's the same time we're doing this, but he did. Right, and right. It's all. That's Palmetto government, the hotel and the road. Okay, they were invited, but they were in a council meeting. I think I said that earlier at the beginning. Okay.
The signs on 64 near the beach.
The sign, yeah. I think the school board member brought that up.
They're going to pass that on to the traffic operations department within FDOT.
We have a traffic operation department within FDOT that can look at that merger sign that he was talking about. Yes, right. And the same thing with, I think it's 50 miles an hour by racetrack. And they got the right speed by the right gas station, racetrack. I seen them doing about 80 through there. I think 50 is a little slow. I've never seen that, though. Most communities got 35 miles an hour. I don't know how that happened. But anyway, clarity on the study. Right. Right. This is clarity on the study. And right, that's not available, but they will post on their website once it's completed. Again, that's in the transition from one to the other. You will see what's going on. I just learned that the first one was terrible and people got really bent out of shape about it. It did no vetting. It said, what's the best way to fix this? And one of the 4 ways was Zoom right over the top of the community. Right, and this team here is, you'll see they'll introduce themselves. This is an entirely different team. These are the ones that's going to be vetting the 11, 12 options. This is an entirely different team of individuals. This one was, okay. Right. Right. The PD&E, this was about there was no exits on the flyover, and also another thing about the health and the 10 lanes by the hospital. Again, they're looking at doing another project to expand 75 to make that one maybe 10 lanes, which would keep people on that and hopefully not come down through your community. So that'll decrease some of that. I want to now go to the, thank you. I want to now, and I'm not rushing, but they're going to throw us out of here shortly. But I want to now go to, I'll let her introduce herself, and then we'll go through the slides. This will make a little bit more sense. I wasn't running through it, but I want to get to the good stuff, so you'll see what's going on with the transition and the process that's being vetted. You want to, oh, yeah. It's okay.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm going to be very brief with introducing myself. I know many of you, well, all of you have not seen me before. My name is Jennifer Marshall, and I am the PD&E project manager for the upcoming Bradenton-Palmetto Connector Study. That's the study for the bridge alternatives that came out of the Central Manatee study, as well as the DeSoto Bridge Replacement Study, which also needs to happen. One is about capacity improvement, which is the Bradenton-Palmetto Connector, and one is simply for replacing the DeSoto Bridge, which is reaching the end of its service life. I look very young to you. I don't want you to think that DOT threw their youngest person out there because I drew the short stick. That's not the case. I've actually been an engineer for about 20 years. I have experience in planning, PD&E, roadway design, and construction and maintenance. My past 11 years have been spent doing PD&E and the NEPA process. I am joined by my environmental project manager, Gwen Pipkin, Gwen has been doing NEPA for about 30 years, and so we are going to hopefully be your dream team. I want to get to hopefully answering some of the questions that you had in a little more detail, but this is a very brief presentation. So you all know that the need for the project, Central Manatee, arose from traffic congestion in your community. We will be doing an updated traffic analysis coming up in the PD&E study for several reasons. One, the LRTP, or your long-range transportation plan with the MPO, is being updated, so we have more information about the new communities coming in. And also, a study that's going on concurrent with the Bradenton-Palmetto connector study is the widening I-75 to 10 lanes for express lanes coming through the Sarasota-Manatee area. So we will want to see how the regional trips change based on adjacent projects that are going on, including that widening of I-75. So we can work with that study to make sure that we have updated information, as well as the updated information we'll be getting from your MPO. So we'll get all of the traffic information updated with our study. So there's been a lot of talk about what the alternatives are. This is not a great graphic, I understand. My study has not started yet. So this is the best I could do in a short amount of time. There are 11 alignment alternatives, including the no build, and one alternative has 2 options. So this is what I would like to do for you at the beginning of the PD&E, the beginning of the next phase of the study, is we will have a kickoff meeting that will explain to you all of the alternatives, the initial alternatives that we are going to start with. So you see where we're going to start. From that point, we can look at how they're going to be evaluated and eliminated, and if we need to look at other alternatives other than the ones that came out of Central Manatee. But right now, I'm going to try to go through these very quickly. One option that's going to stay with the project from beginning to end is the no-build alternative. And one of you asked the question of, well, what if we hate this? What recourse do we have? In the very end, the no-build stays an alternative. And when we have 2 alternatives left, the one we're looking at and the no-build, if you really hate the one we're looking at, you can still go with the no-build. And we will do nothing except replace the DeSoto Bridge, which we have to do. That is not an option. We have to replace that bridge. So that's the no-build alternative. Then we have the First Street crossing that's at grade. That at-grade crossing has 2 different options. One is I think it was called a multi-boulevard, and one was like a full big widening. I'll make sure to have that clarified for you at the kickoff meeting. There was one that went from the 301 corridor in the north to 9th Street corridor in the south. There was the First Street elevated alternative. There was the 9th Street at grade and elevated alternative. There was the 15th Street at grade and elevated alternative. The 27th Street at grade and elevated alternative, so that's 2 each. And then the golf course alternative. So that's what we're gonna go forward with. But like I said, at that kickoff meeting, we're gonna spell it out to you very clearly what we're going to be looking at so we all start on the same page. So like I said, coming out of the Central Manatee study, there are 2 PD&E studies. Now, what's the real difference between them? Just to be very clear, the Central Manatee study was a feasibility study. It looked at a broad range of improvements. It's kind of, throw everything out there, see what sticks. We had short-term alternatives. We had these long-term alternatives. We have a trail study that's coming out. The difference with the PD&E studies is that they're going to be very focused. One is going to be focused on the bridge replacement. One is focused on these bridge capacity improvements. So the Bradenton-Palmetto connector study is going to come out in fiscal year 2020, which means it's next fiscal year. Our fiscal years start in July. It's going to address the capacity concerns in this area, and will evaluate the alignment alternatives from the Central Manatee study like I just explained. Now, in the next couple of slides, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about this particular process. The DeSoto Bridge replacement PD&E study is scheduled currently for fiscal year 2023. That could move in if the MPO chooses to do that, and that may be a possibility. But right now, it's in fiscal year 2023 just to bring the DeSoto Bridge up to current standards. So talking a little bit more about the Bradenton-Palmetto connector study, we're doing this in 2 phases because I can't fully evaluate 11 alternatives. I mean, that would take 1 million years and $1 billion. We're not going to do that. So we have, through our NEPA process, here in the state of Florida, something called the Alternative Corridor Evaluation, the ACE process. If you Google FDOT PD&E manual, you can go to our PD&E manual and it will talk about the ACE process in that manual. So you can follow along with everything that I'm saying. It will evaluate all the alternatives from the Central Manatee Study. Like I said, that starts with initial corridors. The next thing that we do is we come up with a methodology on how we're going to evaluate those corridors. And that methodology is approved by our federal agency, which is the State of Florida Office of Environmental Management. FHWA has given us the right as the state of Florida to act as FHWA. So we will get the methodology on how we evaluate the alternatives approved with OEM from the federal level. We're going to evaluate those, refine the alternatives, eliminate some. If we need to add additional alternatives, maybe some to the west, we will do so. And what we want to do in this whole process for ACE is to get down to 2 to 3 recommended alternatives. Now, through that whole process, we will have several big public meetings so that you all know where we are in the process to make sure that we keep you updated with where we are. We will have a separate project website that's different from Central Manatee, but I will request a link from the Central Manatee website to the new website so you can all find it. Also, we have a statute requirement that we look 300 feet on either side of an alternative to create our mailing list. We're going to take the mailing list from Central Manatee, but on top of that, we're going to take the study area where all the alternatives fall into. We're going to go 500 feet outside of that project area, and that's where we're going to start with our mailing list. Now, from there, if anyone wants to be added, simply email me. We'll get you added on the list. It is not our intention to exclude anyone from the process, but at the same time, we're going to also try to figure out where we need to go. So you all fall within the project area, you will all be on the mailing list. If we miss you for some reason because you're being incognito, please email me. My contact information is going to be at the end of this presentation. So once we get through the ACE process and we have 2 or 3 alternatives, now we're going into the PD&E study. And that's when we're going to get really detailed, laying out alignments. We're going to have reports that have gone through agency reviews, very detailed, that will be available for your review. We'll have a public hearing where you can give up and give testimony in addition to public workshops. And then we will recommend one alternative to move into the design phase. The no-build alternative will always be in consideration through this whole process. So if we get to this one alternative at the public hearing that we're discussing with you, and everybody absolutely hates it because it's the flyover on First Street, that's a joke. Please, that's not what it's going to be. That was really a joke. Yeah, I just wanted to lighten the room. It's just a joke. The no-build alternative is always an option. So the no-build alternative is always an option. Many of you mentioned health concerns, et cetera. We will look at the social environment, socioeconomic impacts, environmental justice. We will also make sure we look at air quality, noise, contamination, environmental impacts with wetlands, national marine fisheries, species, et cetera. And it all follows NEPA. And again, you can Google our PD&E manual and follow along in the process with us. So this is the part that's kind of not so great, but it's just where we are as far as where funding became available. So right now, the Central Manatee study is wrapping up. I can't give you specifics on that, unfortunately. I'm not a part of that project team, although I do coordinate with them. But once their report is available, it will be posted to their website, or you can email me and I will, if I can send it to you, I will. Public records request. This is our current project schedule for the PD&E study. November 2019, we will be advertising for our consultant. We will select that consultant in February 2020 and execute their contract in May of 2020. My goal is to hit the ground running as soon as we can. I don't want to give you any time frames right now on when that first public meeting is going to be because what I hear you saying is that you want very clear communication. So that's what I'm going to give you, clear communication. I don't want to tell you summer, I'm going to have a public meeting and then have to move it to fall. So as soon as we know for sure when we'll have that first public meeting, we'll start getting that information out. We'll start getting websites out. We'll communicate with your elected and appointed officials so that they are also in the know of what's going on, so that we're all on the same team. This is my contact information. Again, my name is Jennifer Marshall. Even at this point in time, before we start the PD&E study, you're welcome to email me with questions or concerns that you have. No analysis is going to begin on the PD&E study until we can select our consultant and execute. Let me move out of the way so you don't get me, you just get my contact information. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a newborn at home, so my brain is a little fried. You can contact me in this transition time, and if I have an answer for you, then I will do my best to get an answer to you. But please note that no analysis is going to begin until my consultant is available and the contract gets executed. And I'll actually go back to that project schedule so you can see when the PD&E study is going to begin. And like I said, we're going to start with all of those alternatives. Our goal is to whittle them down to 2 or 3, get really in depth with 2 or 3, and then get down to one and the no build. So I hope that this has, oh, of course, yes, I'm sorry. Hopefully this has addressed some of your concerns for this evening, and now you're more clear on what the next steps are, and I appreciate the representative for having me here tonight.
All right, thank you, Jennifer, appreciate it. Again, this is my first transportation meeting. This is the first one I attended. I heard you very passionately and very loudly, and as you hear, the no bill stays in there. So we get to the end of this P&E study, vetting everything out, and we come out with something that you do not like. We will build, we're gonna rebuild that bridge. So you will rebuild that bridge, and everything you see around it today, noise, pollution, traffic, backed up blog will be there. So, I mean, that is an option. I mean, for the people that ask, you just got it in black and white. Yes, sir.
One final question. For the state representatives and the county commissioners that are here, based on what you've heard, are any of you in support of this, any type of flyover bridge?
Again, you just heard that if that comes to the end, I know Jennifer joked about it, but if that is at the end, and if you do not want that, which I heard loud and clear, we will know that we have to replace that bridge. We will replace that bridge and do nothing else. I think you heard that. I can't be any clearer.
But that doesn't address my question. Is there any state representative or county commissioner here that is in favor currently of what you know?
Sir, I can speak for you and tell you nobody up here elected is supporting anything that's going to be detrimental to their constituency. Nobody. And if you don't hear me clear, the no bill stays into the end, okay? I have not attended any other meetings. So I want you to hear this from me. The no bill stays into the end. So if they come out with something that you do not like, be it flyover, circle around, under tunnel, water, hydroplane, autonomous vehicles, we will not do it. We will replace that bridge because it's at the end of its life. And you will have what you got now, but it'll be brand new concrete surrounding it. Yes, sir.
If everything goes according to your timeline, at what calendar month would we expect to know what that final list of 2 or 3 is?
How long?
The ACE process that I talked about is about 18 months or so, because I don't want to rush it. We may be able to do it faster. Approximately 18 months. That's tentative from that May of 2020 when my contract is executed. And it could be 24 months, 18 to 24. I don't want to mislead anybody with a time frame. So, until the end of that process, yes.
And we're not being evasive. It's just that you've been told a lot of stuff. It's been a lot of meetings. It's been meetings after the meetings. It's been studies. It's been misinformation. And I'm not trying to go there. Today is the first day of the rest of my life. I can't do nothing about yesterday but mess up tomorrow. Now that I'm involved, I have your elected officials involved. We identify them all. We're going to try to stay engaged and communicate with you. That's all I can do. Now, if you got some other agenda, something you want to do that. I'm not trying to stop you from doing that. I'm talking about me and where I'm going. And I brought staff out here to solidify what was going on. This young lady is the one that's going to be in charge. It's the gentleman back there waving.
Let's suppose, worst case, it comes down to flyover or no bill. That's your choice. What statistics do you use to make a decision to stick with the no bill? I mean, a percentage of the people
No. I think Jennifer was pretty clear. Jennifer said if we come down to 2, and one of them jokingly is the flyover, and you do not want it, we rebuild the bridge. That's what we're going to do. What do you want me to say? We're going to build the flyover? Is that what you want? I mean, I don't know what else to say. If we come to the end, and it's something that's going to be detrimental to this community, in my constituency, we will build the bridge. We will replace that bridge, period. Now, I don't know what else to say. I don't know how to spin it. I mean, if you want me to say we're going to do something that's going to destroy your community, I'm not going to say that. No one supports that. If it comes to the end, and we got 2 selections left, and one of them is going to destroy this community, we will replace that bridge if it's at the end of its life. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't know what you're singing or dancing. Yes, ma'am.
I can address that for you. Because none of the alternatives were eliminated in the previous study, because it was just identifying alternatives, we have to document clearly why each of these which alternatives don't move forward. So this is that formal documentation process so that they don't come back up again. So if, and I'm not saying because is an impartial process, I'm using an example. I'll use a bad example. If you hate every at-grade alternative, then we need to document why every at-grade alternative doesn't work. And public opinion is part of it. Then it's the other environmental concerns, and it's engineering constraints, and it's cost. And we will get all of that documented. And so if there are any lawsuits or anything, we can show that we followed our process, and we're not just eliminating things on our own whim. So that's why we have to start with all of them and go down to 2 to 3.
Thank you. I'm going to try and get someone else, because we answered 2 for you already, please. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so you mentioned that the study goes through 300 feet around the
That's what happens is with any development, and not just with roads. If we're doing a development or that hotel you're talking about, they should contact people within a 500 or 500 feet radius all the way around it, because it's going to impact you, good or bad.
Well, what about further than that? I mean, it's going to impact people further than that. Yeah, like we're 500 and some odd feet from 301 right
The notification.
The statute requirement for notifications is 300 feet on either side of the roadway that you're looking at. Well, we have several alternatives. So what we've done is we've created a project area, and we're going 500 feet out. Now, understanding that that might not cover everybody, then we're going to take that initial time period to identify everybody else that wants to be included. So we may have some of you, we may miss some of you. We're taking the Central Manatee mailing list as well. So if in the very beginning you're missed, let us know, because we want to get you on the list. It's not intentional. I wanted to let you know what our requirement is and where we're going to start, just so you know that we have a starting point.
Yes, sir.
We already know that there is problems with property values dropping already in Riviera Dunes. And we're seeing it because of this. So there's already an impact in our community pertaining to this flyover. So if you don't drop it, even if it's 18 months down
we're gonna be dropping our property values, so we can just be doing this. Already. Because it's already dropped 3 to 5%. I'm looking at it already. And real estate agents are going into our community going, lowball these people because there's gonna be this situation. So we're already impacted.
Okay,
So if you
yes,
don't take
well,
that one thing off the table,
all right, again,
already started,
I came tonight, I understand, but I came tonight to share information and update you on the process, where we are and where we're going. Now, if they don't like the process, there's nothing I can do about it. You heard statutorily, we have to follow that. We can't just exclude one because we can. If we could, I would say take it off. We can't do that. I think you just heard that from the project manager. But you do have the option. If it comes down to that, we'll replace that bridge. We'll replace that bridge. Well, the bridge is at the end of its life, sir. We're going to have to replace that bridge either way. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No problem. Right.
What I'm trying to say to everybody in this room, we are saying the same thing over and over.
Yes, we are.
Ms. Marsha explained to us what the brief she has to go. You know, the first was November 2019, right?
Yeah.
She have 2 more to go through, and she's saying when they get to her, then she'll let everybody know. You go online, she'll send it to you. So what we doing, we conflict.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Well, I didn't want to do information overload, and that's why I asked for the people that want to come up and do questions, and hopefully we're addressing them. Yes, sir.
thank you for doing this.
I appreciate it.
I mentioned to you that Pinellas County is an excellent example of what happens when you do flyovers. With 19, the property appraiser's office there has an abundance of information as far as values and effect that it had. You're from Pinellas County. Please put together a study with the property appraiser's office that reflects what actually happened up there, and take that into consideration as you make this part of the study here.
I can tell you and unequivocally share with you that I served 8 years on the St. Petersburg City Council. I was on the MPO, the PPC, and the Tampa Regional Planning Board. I have more planning, and also I served on PSTA, Mass Transit. Okay, the only reason I came out to do this tonight was to share information and also, with my knowledge, get educated also. I didn't know we had a plan that went before already and got everybody all riled up. I didn't know that. I thought the PD&E study was the only one, okay? So it's 2 of them that's merging together. So if you didn't learn anything tonight, I did. And I learned a lot from you guys. This is my first transit meeting, you know? And all I can tell you is that I hear you loud and clear. But there's a process that has to be followed statutorily. And no one, like I said, I'll say it again, no one is going to support something that's going to decimate their community or their constituent. I mean, that's a loaded question. Who would say that? No. I'm saying who up here would say it. And I didn't, sir. I didn't come here to argue, sir. I didn't come here to argue.
You're saying you have veto powers. That's what I'm hearing from you. So you personally have veto power of if we get to 2 options and one's elevated and one's not. That's what I'm trying to get to. Who's the decision maker? That was my question.
I'll say it again. Let me go slow because I said it earlier. I am one of 120 state representatives. We have 120 state representatives, 40 senators, a governor, CFO, ag commissioner, and attorney general. We are over 67 counties, 412 cities, 21 million people. These agencies, FDOT, and all the rest of them work for us. That's why when I was running, I could not come out and do this way back in June before a lot of people had sleepless nights. And I'll say again, I will not support anything that's going to decimate my constituency or hurt my community. Will not. And I am the one up there that's over their budget. So I don't know what else to tell you. I know you guys are upset. I get it. I hear it. So if you want to keep, and like I said, this is my first transit meeting. This is the first one I did, but I did it for a reason. I wanted you to see your elected officials, people you done voted for. None of us is running for anything. They already counted the votes. These are the people that prevail. And I want them to be here with me so they would see and understand what's going on as it pertains to transit, know what the process is. If you had a camera, hopefully you snapped a picture of the time, the dates, and the contact information. The young lady has put it all out there for you to contact her, and she will put you on the list. If you know somebody who's outside of the 500 feet, share their address. She'll put them on the list. I mean, we got property owners that do not live in this area that are going to be within 500 feet. All that's going to come into play. But we have to go through the process. It's unfortunate. If we can get rid of them all and build a bridge tomorrow, I would say do that. But that's going to do nothing to help the environment. I think I heard environmental. I heard noise. I heard pollution. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information about what happened with Pinellas County. There's a little thing out there called the Skyway Bridge. Now, that Skyway Bridge had toll plazas right next to condos. I don't know how many. I was born and raised in St. Pete. Toll plazas right next to those condos. Because of the noise and all the traffic and the trucks stopping and going and everything, they moved that toll booth out into more further out into the water. The only thing for bad to triumph is for good people to do nothing. You have all the revenues, you have the accesses, you have the communication, you obviously have support because all the people are sitting in the room. My job is to bring for you the information so you can make an informed decision. I get it, you don't want it, but we can't take it out right this minute. But I will not, and I don't think we will not, I don't want to speak for them, but I let them support something that's going to decimate their community. Who does that? You know, yes ma'am, wave in the back. Yes.
There is $3 million allocated for the Bradenton-Palmetto Connector Study, and there's $1 million allocated for the DeSoto Bridge Replacement PD&E Study.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for Jennifer. When you say consultant, is that a group of people? Is it one person? When you hire?
We'll hire a firm, of an engineering firm, and they'll have all the specialties that we need to do the evaluation with. I'm trying not to get uber specific, but okay. And then once we hire them, they work with us, DOT staff, and we become the project team. Don't worry, we have an advertisement coming out in a bit.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, we getting a wave. You got to hurry. Go ahead. Yeah, we got to be out of here.
I don't know if you understand the biggest problem is flyover.
Yes, ma'am. Kind of got that. I got that around 7:05 when we started. But go ahead.
Take it off the table.
Yes,
But my point is, that's never going to pass because all hell's going to break loose. But you don't understand our side of things. We've been told this for almost a year now, like, well, then we might not do that anyway. We might not do that anyway. Then we got real estate brokers telling me, I can't sell you a place until you tell me for sure there's not going to be a flyover. And now we've been waiting for a year to hear this. And now we're saying, like, now we're talking another year or two before I can tell my real estate broker I could sell my place. I mean, that's the position you put us in. And you could prevent that, but you could just say, we're not doing the flyover. We don't know what we're going to do, but we're not going to do the flyover. If you can put that in paper for us, we might be able to.
Okay. I'll apologize that you heard that for over a year, but you never heard it from this representative. The day is the first day of the rest of my life. I tried to put it out there for the individuals to let them know that how sincere I am and what I'm going to do. And I thought my presence here with the elected officials would show you where we're at. And we have no agenda. We're not running for anything. We're here because you got a concern. Us being recipients of public funds and receive public funds, if you got a problem, we got a problem. That's the only reason I came here. But I appreciate you guys for coming out tonight. You want to say something to close out, you two, real quick?
Yeah, let me use this one. Yes, briefly, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. I guess one of the things I can kind of understand, I've been around probably 10 different speaking occasions and presentations. I hate to say this at this meeting, but to the point where they called me anti-flyover Byrd instead of Councilman Byrd. But I do want to say we understand, and at this point, I expressed my concern to the secretary, district secretary, that I wish, if I had a wish, it would be that that flyover would not be one of those 12 alternatives. But thank you for coming out, and we'll try to work through this as we go into the PD&E phase. Thank you again.
Okay, here we are as your District 2 Commissioner. My intent is to work with you and for you. I think we have an opportunity to do some work behind the scenes. I hear the passion to take away the option as far as I don't even use that option. I don't even talk about it because my intent is to find a way to take it off the table. So what I plan on doing, like I've already started doing, is to meet with neighborhood associations and churches and things of that nature so we can get the data, so we can combat FDOT with the data. So when we start saying what we don't want, we can make sure we also have an identity on what we do want so we can kind of influence to make sure it goes away from that other option that we've already been talking about. So I do anticipate me trying to reach out to y'all and meet with you all so we can build that data so I can have that information to support what we do not want.
Again, Commissioner Smith and the Palmetto government is meeting tonight, so he couldn't be here. We're going to share with him. We got the pad. We're going to take that to him and let him. We're going to break that down, show him that too. If you want an email of the questions and what we said, we're going to formulate that into a Word document. We can send it to you also. Hopefully you sign the sheet out front so we can keep you abreast of what's going on. I heard loud and clear, no communications, people doing stuff that you didn't know about. I don't like the meetings after the meetings after the meetings. I mean, and the other groups, I apologize again to the other groups. It's no disrespect. If you've been doing this and you got something that you want to continue doing, do that. But this is not why I came to here tonight. I came here tonight to hear from the people, share information, and show them where we are in the process and let them know what's available. That's all. That's the first one I got, and it made it clear to me because what I heard was if we get down to the bottom and it's something that's going to be detrimental, it will just build a bridge, which is, I think, they're not going to build a flyover. That's what it sounded like to me, but who am I? Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully you enjoyed the food. There's a tip basket at the door. No, I'm kidding.